All right, guys, so today you're going to be doing day 4, Monday, May 17th, which is slide 4 of your presentation, which is creating a line graph, a line plot, or a bar graph. And so you have to decide which type of graph you would use for your data. So if you have, remember, if you have if you have numerical data, you're going to use a line plot, which is where you form a line and you're going to put X's above certain numbers because numerical data. If you have categorical data, you are going to use a bar graph, which would be like a multiple choice question, which gives you words for answers. Like my example with types of cookies, I would use a bar graph because that's categorical data. Those are different categories of cookies. And then finally, if you did change over time, which I'm pretty sure no one did, you would use a line graph. Okay, so I think most people are going to be using a bar graph. So we're going to start there. So this link probably is not in your slide, but it is in your assignment. I've attached it. So if you go to the line graph maker, it also makes bar graphs. So even though it says line graph maker, you can go there to make a bar graph. And so what you're going to be doing, it starts like this on the line graph. You're going to have to click over here to the bar graph. That's your first step. Then we did this before in class, but I know it's been a minute, so I'll refresh each step. First, title. That's simple. So maybe I'll name it types of cookies. Horizontal label. Horizontal, like the horizon, flat, that's the x-axis. So that's where your different categories or your multiple choices are going to be. But this is just the label. So I'm going to label it cookies because it's going to be my different types of cookies down there. Then I got my vertical label. That's how many students are going to have picked each one. So I'm going to put number of votes. Then you can choose between data labels and data values. I'm going with labels because mine are going to be words. And then it wants a space between each one of those. So I'm going to put chocolate, peanut, Oreo, and sugar. Now, if you want 2 worded labels like chocolate chip or peanut butter, you can do that, but you need to underscore, which is shift hyphen between your words that you want together. So like I don't want chip and peanut together, so I'm not going to put an underscore there. I want chocolate chip and together, so I'm going to connect those with the underscore. If I want peanut butter, I have to do the same thing. I'm going to have 4 bars. Actually, no, I'm going to put 1 bar, even though there's kind of going to be 4. Because if you notice down here, it's splitting it into however many names you have. So it's going to make 4 bars for me. Here's where I'm going to put my values. And so I'm going to put a value for each bar. The only problem there is I won't be able to change the color. So if you want to change the color, you can go with 4 bars, but that might mess up your labels. Okay, so I'm going to say 7 people said chocolate chip. And I'm going to put a space for peanut butter. 3 people said peanut butter. Oreo, we'll say 5 people said Oreo, and sugar will say 1. Now, I'm just making this stuff up, but you have your data collected. It's in your frequency table. So you need to look at your frequency table for this information. So I'm just pretending I have a frequency table that says chocolate chip and then 7 votes beside it. And then it says peanut butter and I got 3 tallies right there. And then it says Oreo and I have 5, but you have yours created. That's what you need to be looking at. Okay, so then if I hit enter, I can see my bar graph. I've got chocolate chip up here to 7, peanut butter has 3, Oreo has 5, sugar has 1. And it tells me if I put my cursor over each one. I got a title. I have correct labels, cookies, number of votes. These are all things you should check. Then what you're going to do is you're going to, you think you'd hit copy, but copy tells you to go to print to copy it. So you hit the print button, right click, copy image. You're going to go back to your project. You're going to erase all this and put your graph right there. So what I would do is I hit this, get rid of it, and put my graph in there. Now I can change this. I don't have to put line graph, line plot, bar graph. I can erase all that, put bar graph, or I could just erase it all and make this really big if I wanted to. Anyway, when you give your presentation, you need to be prepared to explain your graph. You don't have to go into super detail, but you can say something like, you can see by this graph right here that chocolate chip was the most votes with 7 and sugar had the least votes with 1, or something like that. And that's all we're doing today is you're putting in your graph. So you have to decide whether you need a bar graph, a line graph, or a line plot. So I'm going to explain line plot in case someone wants to make one of those. If your data was numerical data, like how many siblings do you have, or how many sports do you play, or something like that, you could make a line plot. Since no one made a line graph, we're just going to skip over that. Okay, so to make a line plot is a little trickier. So what you're going to want to do is insert a line, and you're going to put it across your page towards the bottom. And you can, if you want the ends to be arrows, you can do that up here. You can change them to arrows. Then you're going to have to put little notches on there. So you're going to need to figure out what your range of answers was. So maybe you had a range of like 1 or 0, probably 1. 1 to 5, I don't know. Maybe you asked about number of siblings, and that's your range. So that's how many lines you're going to need to put on there. So it depends on kind of what your data is. But you're going to put some more lines on your line plot by just putting little, really you just need to put 1 on there, and then if you copy it and paste it, you have a bunch of little lines that you can put across your number line. And you can build yourself a number line in that way. If you want to, before you copy and paste it, you can make them bolder if you thought they need to be bolder, and that's found right here where it says line weight. You can make them thicker, so maybe they're easier to see for a presentation. I would do that before I copied it and not after I copied it, because then you have to do it each time. Okay, so you got some values on there. Then you're going to want to label those by inserting text boxes. Maybe this one stands for 0. I'm just going to copy and paste these two. Of course, I have to change 0 because you don't want each line to say 0. That one's going to be 1. This is a little bit more of a process, but most of you don't have this. Okay. So then you want to put some X's above for each of us. Maybe 3 people had 3 siblings. And so you're going to want to insert, you can insert a shape and go to equation and pick an X. And then it'll let you put little X's places. Of course, you probably don't want it white because it'll be hard to see. So if you go up to the fill, you can make it a color. And then you can just copy it and paste it. Maybe you had 2 people say 2, 1 person say 4, 1 person say 1, and so forth. And that's how you can build your line plot, by putting these X's over your number line. So that one takes a little bit more work. You do need a title still. So you can erase this bar graph, line graph, and type your title up there, like number of siblings. However, you're not going to need a horizontal label or vertical label. So you just need a title for your whole entire line plot. And then each X equals 1 student. All right, So that's what you're doing today. You have to make a line plot or a bar graph, since nobody did things would change over time. So you're either going to make a line plot or a bar graph today, depending if you have numerical data or categorical data. Right. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.